Yours truly, Brevin Thompson, here again to continue my Sylvester Stallone month lead up to Rambo Last Blood. Well, mostly this week I'll be covering the Rambo movie, so the rest of the month I'll mostly be covering the Rocky movie, so just wanted to clear that out of the way. So today I'll be talking about Rambo First Blood Part 2, which was released in 1985, and is of course the sequel to the smash hit First Blood. So I recently watched the film from beginning to end in preparation for this review, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I mean, at first, as a kid, I loved this movie, and I thought it was like one of the best action movies I've ever seen. But the movie is good just for the sake of the action, but it doesn't really have a strong plot, and that's kind of one of the movie's biggest problems. Is not only does it have like a weak plot, it's also because it also like throws away everything that First Blood stood for. But despite all of that, it's still a decent action movie. So, this film was written by Sylvester Stallone and James Cameron, which would have made this movie a whole lot better. But this film was nominated for 7 Razzies and won 4, which won Worst Picture. Which I honestly don't think should have deserved the win for Worst Picture. It also won Worst Actor for Sylvester Stallone, Worst Screenplay for Stallone and James Cameron. Well, I honestly think that, I think if they had like if they hadn't come up with a better screenplay, I think the film would have worked a whole lot better. So, worst screenplay definitely deserved. And worst original song by Sylvester Stallone's brother Frank. I honestly think that while at times it doesn't really feel like a bad song, Peace in Our Life just didn't really seem like a good song for the ending credits. It just kind of feels unnecessary. This is my personal opinion, so yeah. But as for returning players, mostly we have Sylvester Stallone as Rambo, of course, and of course Richard Crenna as Colonel Troutman. But they are honestly 2 of the best parts of this movie because they're terrific actors, no doubt in my mind. But the rest of the actors, we have like Charles Napier. I think he had like a damn good career, and because he even made he had like a small role in Silence of the Lambs. He appeared in most of Jonathan Demme's. I hope that I said that right. Rest in peace. And most of his films. Other than that, we have Stephen Berkoff. I hope I said that right. If you don't know him, you might have seen him as one of the villains in the Bond movie Octopussy, which is one of the later Roger Moore Bond films back in the 80s. And we even have I wouldn't necessarily say a cameo because he appears in several scenes in the movie, but we have Martin Cove in this movie, which at first, it's been a while since I watched this movie, to be honest. You might know him as the Cobra Kai sensei in the Karate Kid, and he appeared in the Karate Kid sequels as well as the Cobra Kai series. But to be honest, I haven't watched the Cobra Kai series, but once I have time, I will get on that, I promise. But so yeah, this movie does have its ups and downs, and in case anybody hasn't seen Rambo First Blood Part 2, this review is going to contain some spoilers. You've been warned. So, the movie opens with Rambo in prison due to his rampage in First Blood. Colonel Troutman has an offer for him by having him go on a mission to locate POWs that are still a mission in action in Vietnam. Rambo, of course, agrees to the mission, but there's only one catch. If he finds any POWs, he's not to rescue them. He's just only there to take pictures, just to confirm that they're POWs. Which kind of doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, because why would you send a one-man army like Rambo just to take photographs? It's just... I mean, he's Rambo, he's not fucking Peter Parker. It's unimaginably stupid. I will admit that it's kind of stupid, but otherwise we wouldn't have a movie. I just don't know. And, well, he of course, I mean, once he gets into enemy territory, he runs into his partner Co, who is played by Julian Nikson. At times, she's not really a bad actress, but she doesn't really have much of a strong part in the story, except, well, she's supposed to be a love interest for Rambo, but at times the love interest sort of just goes out of nowhere. It's just there are some moments in this film that kind of feel a bit unnecessary, but yeah. Well, they do eventually find the POW camp, and of course there are American POWs, but once they try to get to the extraction point, Murdoch, who's played by Charles Napier, who was in charge of the operation, just wants them to abort the operation, so Rambo is left behind, because they were hoping that Rambo would find nothing, and then Congress can just put aside the issue, and if Rambo did find something, they just want to sweep it under the rug, which kind of does make an interesting plot in the story, but I mean, because I wish this had more time to develop, but I don't know, but we, as if this movie wasn't ridiculous enough, we have Russian bad guys, because yes, there are Russians in this movie, with Steven Berkoff playing the film's villain, Lieutenant Colonel Podevsky. I hope I said that right. And this later leads to one of my favorite moments in the film, which is a little bit over the top, which when Rambo is trying to communicate with Murdoch on the radio. I swear, I mean, it's pretty awesome, but it's also a bit hilarious. Right when Rambo is on the radio, he says, "Murdoch, I'm coming to get you." It's stupid. I know it's stupid, but it's kind of awesome. I will admit that it is. But Rambo does eventually escape with Cove's help, but she later does get killed, and this leads to possibly the best thing in the movie, which with Rambo just killing the shit out of the bad guys. Well, possibly my favorite kill, and I'm pretty sure I'm not alone in this, is when Rambo's using mud as camouflage, and he sneaks up behind a Russian and then just stabs him. And it's honestly the best kill in the movie, but how did he cover himself in mud that fast? And one issue that I have with this entire scene is, and I know a lot of people might have commented on this, it's the one Russian who's dragged by Rambo, and he's like... Rambo's not even choking him. I mean, why is he making that sound? Unless he can't talk. I mean, if he can't talk, I can buy that, but just scream for help, call for backup. It's not that hard. It's just, there's some stuff in this movie that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, and that scene alone is definitely one of them. But still, the entire scene with Rambo just killing the bad guys, mostly with his bow, especially using explosive arrows, just it's it's pure action, adrenaline fun. Is that the right way to say it? Okay, don't care. I'm just leaving that in. So he does. I mean, Rambo goes back to the POW camp and then rescues all the POWs and still killing more bad guys. And then there's a helicopter chase. A helicopter chase between him and Podolsky, with Rambo killing him with a rocket launcher. Then he heads back to the base and threatens Murdoch with a knife. And then, after a brief conversation with Troutman, Rambo just leaves and the credits roll. And that's Rambo First Blood Part 2. While at times is enjoyable because of the action, the film itself doesn't really have much of a strong plot, but the film does have its moments, and like I said, the action, Stallone's performance. Honestly, I don't think his win for a Razzie for Worst Actor, I don't really think he deserved that win, but the Razzies can pretty much do whatever the hell they want, I guess. But like I said, Stallone is, he's great as Rambo, and Richard Crenna, as always, is great as Troutman. Some of the actors, I think would have had a lot more, much more impact if they had more time to develop. And that's one other issue that I also have with this movie. But I kind of like Jerry Goldsmith's score for this film, but while at times does sound epic, it just doesn't match the same epicness as First Blood score. But still, I like Jerry Goldsmith's music in this movie. The last movie in the Rambo franchise that he would compose for was, of course, Rambo 3, which I'll be covering also later this week, so yeah. While at times, the movie's enjoyable, I just think the story is a bit of a mess, and barely any character development, and has cool music, and great action sequences and everything, but I'd say at least give it a watch because of the action alone, but yeah. So I'm gonna give Rambo First Blood Part 2 a C+. So yeah, this was a whole lot of fun. And right before I leave, I wanted to show you guys something. I got this Rambo knife a few years ago. A friend of my stepfather's made this. It's pretty cool. You can see that he just made this out of pipe, and this even opens. So you can put matches or anything in here. So yeah, pretty damn cool knife. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. So what were your thoughts on Rambo First Blood Part 2 if you've seen the movie? I'll be covering Rambo 3 later this week, as well as Rambo 4, leading up to Rambo Last Blood on Friday, so a whole lot to do. Yeah, thank you so much as always for watching and supporting my channel. I'm looking forward to doing more reviews very soon, and if you want news on the latest new or old movies, you know where to find me.